Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and it is 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to a therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time, night or day, and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you can get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off with your first month at betterhelp.com/XOOF-life. That's betterhelp.com/XOOF-life.
Hey folks, for all three people that actually listen to me, this is this is fun news. So you're not going to hear Jermaine on this episode. I'm Rich, and I have a fellow named Bob on the other side here. He is my first ever guest, so he's popping the cherry. So,
hey now,
well, you know, hey, we make it sexy on this show a little bit. But this is going to be a semi-regular thing. We're going to have guests on, and you know, if they don't hate it, they can come back and do all that fun stuff. So, this is the X's and O's of life. Guess let's just kind of get into it. So, Bob is here, and it's not the Bob you guys have been hearing about. That's my best friendo, best man at the wedding, Bob. This is a random Bob. But
I'm Rando Bob. Yeah,
Rando Bob. There you go. So, tell the folks who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, and all that fun stuff.
That's a tall order, Rich. This is Rando Bob here. Hey, everybody, it's Bob Lement. I'm one of the hosts of Static Radio at staticradio.com. And I happened upon Rich's thing. What was it, through Podmatch? Was that it, Rich?
Yeah.
We connected. Yeah. And anyway, I thought, hey, that's an interesting thing, the X's and O's of life. How interesting. But for what I'm doing is I got a weekly show with Miles Title as my co-host, and he's a friend of mine. And we basically we tell stories. So we have a conversation each week. We usually each tell a story. That story is hopefully designed to make the other person laugh, or at least give them something to think about. And, you know, we've been doing that for a while now. Why? Rich said I should tell people why they should listen. That's a good question. I mean, you know, I'll put it this way. Some people have employment where the days are long and they don't want to listen to songs. And it's nice every once in a while just to listen to a funny conversation or something like that. And so I guess that's why you should listen. If you want to be a bit of a fly on a wall, then you can listen to the show. The weird part about this is this conversation has been going on for 24 years. We've done a weekly show for 24 years on the internet. So that's a bit of a long conversation. I wouldn't worry about catching up on it if you're new. Just start wherever and jump in and you know, enjoy the goofiness of it all.
And you know, it's cool because we kind of linked up last week to kind of do kind of a pre-screening to make sure that you're not like a serial killer and have nothing remotely.
Well, you still didn't figure that out yet, did you?
Well, I like to keep a little bit of a mystery.
I don't know. I'm not. I want to put it out there. I'm not a serial killer. So
he's being modest. That's fine.
I'm more of a Pop-Tart killer. But anyway,
there you go.
Bad jokes abound.
Grown. So, you know, we were yapping, and when he was telling me kind of how he does his, for lack of a better term, business, it sounded real familiar. And it's kind of what me and Jermaine kind of built this one podcast on, the whole, hey, let's kind of have a bar talk, except semi-formatted and not as inebriated.
Yeah, sometimes when you go down that road too far, you lose purpose, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a little bit good, a lot, probably not so good, at least sometimes.
Yeah, well, there is a funny little part of what we do where, my co-host Jermaine, he is always concerned, like, oh man, what's the time looking like? Are we going to be able to make it? And I look at him, it's like, you realize how we talk, and the whole reason we started this damn thing is because we don't shut up and we just go on tangents. We have never, I don't think we've ever recorded anything under an hour. And he's always like, oh man, I don't know how we did it. It's like, yeah, you do. I've known you for a long time. That's how this works. So, but back to you. So what made you kind of start? What kind of prompted you?
Sure.
What were your peaks and valleys here?
So, Miles and I used to do a college radio show when we were in college together. And, we kind of, were doing that kind of witty banter stuff back in college as much as we could. There was a format to play music and so forth, but in between the songs, we would, talk about just weird stuff and whatever was on our minds. And so after college, a few years went by, and I'm like, hey, we could do this on the internet. And this is all pre-podcast stuff, but
right.
So I was lucky enough to have access to server space, and actually at the time it was called Real Audio, but that's ancient technology. But in order to put our show out, and so I said, why don't we just pick up where we left off? Except we couldn't do music at that time because everybody was suing everybody.
Right.
And so I said,
we'll just
do the other part. We'll just do the other part. We won't worry about the music. And so we started doing that. And, it's been interesting because we're kind of like the Forrest Gumps of podcasting in a way. Because, if you watch Forrest Gump, the movie, he's always at the edge of all this, interesting things. Right. So we're at the edge. I've exchanged emails before podcasting with Adam Curry. I've been involved in streaming media out of New York City before it was kind of a thing. And so all these kind of touches of technology that was developed, we've kind of been a part of that in a very, very small kind of off to the side way. And it's kind of been an interesting ride. Now we're both from the Midwest, and I still live in the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis.
Okay.
And so, there's not tons of things happening, for these kind of things. Things don't break out in the Midwest. I guess I'll put it that way. So anyway, we've always been here doing our thing. And it's just kind of interesting how we've encountered all of these characters along the way, and major players as these technologies have unfolded, but from the sidelines, like I said, kind of Forrest Gump style. And it's been a while now, and everything, and so it's kind of a little bit of an interesting story for people, I suppose. We don't talk about it on a weekly basis, but if you were to go back, you'd hear all this stuff through time. So it's a little bit of history from the sidelines, if you will, on this kind of media now that everybody is, and a lot of people are involved in at this point.
Yeah.
So
it's like the new sexy thing.
Really, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, trying to think of other examples for you, but I mean, there's a weird guy, I can't remember his name now, but he is in a movie called We Live in Public. I've talked to him about doing our show in New York City, but then he turned out to be kind of weird. And there was a movie about that. He dressed up as a clown and was kind of odd. But anyway.
I mean, that doesn't sound great.
Yeah, he wasn't a juggalo or anything. He was he had his own kind of Krusty the Clown thing going on.
Yikes.
But anyway, it's just been an interesting ride along the way. And now we're in what I would call, having, been on the sidelines watching the game for a while, I would say kind of the third iteration of podcasting. So you and I are on a thing called StreamYard. And there's a bunch of different ones to help facilitate these kind of things, which weren't available back in 2004, kind of when things started to kick off. And then we've had another boost back in the 2010s. And then now this is like, I think this is the kind of the third boost into mainstream. I always found it hilarious that podcast wasn't a word for a long time. And then when it was a word, no one wanted to hear about it. It's just a bunch of nerdy, geeky people doing stuff. And now it's mainstream. And I knew it was really mainstream because my wife, we have a, Apple account together. And I noticed a charge for a podcast. And I go, what is this? You're paying for a podcast? And she's like, yeah, I want to hear. It was one of those murder podcasts.
Oh, me too, man.
So she got it. She wanted to hear about it. And I go, I've been doing this for a while and you don't pay me anything.
I bet that went well.
That's when it kind of took off in the public, I think, because she had no interest, zero interest in what I was doing and didn't want to, and then, of course, her quippy comeback was, I have been paying for it all these years, but that's a whole.
Yeah, there it is. That was low-hanging fruit there.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So but
what makes you keep wanting to do it?
It's fun. So just like yourself, like you just described, you have your friend and you enjoy talking to him and it's entertaining and you're like, why not? And that's essentially the same thing. And I have my friend Miles, and we talk, and it's just an extension of what we would do naturally. It's just you pivot just a little bit into a situation where it's like it's a show, and so you have a beginning and an end, and you have put a little wrapper on it, and it's essentially what you would do anyway. More than likely, I mean, maybe. It would be a little bit different, but not much. I mean, it's not. If you came near us at an event or something, and we happen to be sitting there talking, it would be very much similar. The whole conversation. There's not a lot of fakery to it. We always say that all of our stories are true.
Right.
Some elements have to be changed because of. You have to protect someone, or you can't say a person's name or what have you.
Right.
But all of the things that we talk about, it happened. Some things are heightened for the story. Some things are lowered or whatever you want to call hidden because of the story. But the story is the story, and it happens to us, and we put it out there, and it's just kind of. We try to spin it in a funny way or a weird way. But other than that, it really is, it is what it is. And, if you watch TV or whatever, most of these, even these things that say they're true are not true. It's all
right. You get the whole,
there's only a morsel of truth, And I don't like that myself. I'm like, obviously there's a story in there, and it's probably actually more interesting than what they produced, but they thought, oh, we need to do this. So we try not to stray too far from the truth, other than whenever it, is going to have negative impact. So, I talk about stuff that happens at work, but I can't talk about the people because I work there, and I'm not, you don't shit where you work. So
pretty much.
So you have to change it up a little bit sometimes, but other than that, it's all it's all happened. It's all kind of wild sometimes.
Yeah, I mean it's just so eerily similar to kind of our idea when we just started this shenanigan that we want to call a podcast. And it's funny, he came over to record last week on his way in. So right now we are at, between the two that we're doing, I think we're at 19 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've only been doing this since Easter. Like Easter Sunday was our first recording. So we're like green as grass. But he, just for giggles, he, on his way over here, he had the first initial episode on, and he's just like, holy shit, we sounded so bad. It's like, yeah, we did. There were so many pauses. And it's like, and then that's probably as entertaining as it sounds. Now, we still are terrible, but we have cleaned it up some. But no, it really is kind of a bit of a light and day thing. So when you first kind of got into this whole thing, what were your kind of peaks and valleys? I guess, like tell me I'm not saying you need to tell me your rock bottom moment, but was there ever a time there where you looked at this and just I'm all set, man. I'm good. I'm done.
Well, yeah. Oh, definitely. So more than once that's happened. And the funny thing is, we started and it was fun and we were doing it. And then at some point, somebody has to say, we're going to have some type of a schedule, right? And so that's always a hard transition because, if you just do it randomly, then eventually it'll kind of fall off, to be honest. I mean, that's what happens to everything. And so you have to put a schedule to it. So we put a schedule to it pretty early on. And that was hard because then you have to make time now. After all that, I had children. I didn't have children when I started this. I have children. They're grown up and gone. So,
Congratulations.
So, all through that time, I had kids. And so this became, as an adult with kids, your time becomes precious for yourself. And so you have to make that time. So yeah, it was tough for a while there. And we've switched around a little bit as far as our, when we record, but we record every week, no matter what. And then to be honest,
what's your schedule? Like, when do you drop your episodes?
Well, we record every Monday night, right now. And then, it used to be, it took a while to prep it and everything. And so then by Wednesday, I would have it posted onto the web. So now I can post it almost immediately, but I don't. I still keep that schedule, which is kind of funny because I don't need it anymore. But I've been doing it for so long. That's just what I do.
That makes sense. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because we don't edit. I mean, it's all just straight
ditto
shot. The only time we edit is if there was need. I mean, if you have little kids, they come running in and what have you. So the
I already sent a text and I literally told them, Dad's recording at 10. I swear to Christ, if you come down here, you're done. So
you have to deal with that, right? So that's but
not me. They got to deal with it. It's their life on the line, not mine.
But the funny thing was, I figured basically we would do it for about 5 years, which oddly enough would have put us just ahead of when podcasting started.
So you started off with like a plan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I gotta have a plan. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, you got to pretty much. You have to, even if you're not. I think if you treat it a little bit too lightly, you won't continue. And so you have to, to be like it's a hobby. And so, you roll with things, but you have to treat it like a job. I mean, anything that you want to do seriously, you just have to keep going, but yeah, I figured we'd go about 5 years. And after a couple of years, I'd like, we'll probably go about 5 years and we'll be done. And then, things have happened where, you're friends. And so things happen and you get aggravated with your friend. And so,
Right.
stuff like that happens. But oddly enough, thankfully enough, I suppose, we are good enough friends that it always blows over within the week and we're back at it. And there's no, you just get back to normal. And, but yeah, it gets tough, things happen and stuff, goes wrong and so forth. And so, yeah, it's been and we're not easy on each other. I mean, if you listen to the show, we're not, it's tough. We say tough things to each other. And so you really have to have a thick skin about everything and realize that it's all kind of just in good fun. At one point, I don't even know what they call it these days, but you call it breaking balls, right? So you break.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So, and so we break each other's balls every week. And so, I mean, that can be wearing on a person if you're not in a certain frame of mind, you're going to lose somebody.
Yeah, but you should know that. I mean,
well, they would know it at this point. Yeah,
exactly. If you're just a random guy, just like, hey, what's up, pussy? It's like, what? Right. Excuse me? So, you say that to your friend. It's like, I hate you.
But it's all with the
right
a laugh and just for the sake of being guys or whatever.
Yeah, it's what fellas do. We are terrible people to each other.
That's right.
Makes zero sense.
I think women are worse to each other, but that's.
But they're more behind the scenes. They're
a little bit more.
they're not going to overtly just do that in front of your face. They'll put like sugar in the gas tank, like haha. I hate you, Nancy.
Deceivious, they're devious,
right?
So yeah, but many times we have, and so some of the ups were early on. I mean, like I said, I got to talk to people who are now. Well, we're famous back then even, but now famous, more famous for things. And
I was going to say, like, who's the most not streamlined? Oh God, what's the word? The most famous kind of, I can't think of the word. Oh boy. Yeah. This is the fun of not editing yet.
That's okay. If you would say the most famous person I've probably interacted with in some way, shape, or form in relation to this would be Curry, because he is so synonymous with the term now, and would be Adam Curry. And so yeah,
mainstream.
It wasn't
that's
like
the word I was looking for.
But,
sorry,
what's that?
I got the word mainstream. That was the word I was looking for.
And he probably yeah, I guess he's kind of mainstream. He's not so mainstream as much as he was earlier, but yeah, he's probably kind of mainstream. He's probably one of the biggest names that most people would go, oh yeah, I know who that is. I mean, I've talked to, there used to be a guy, this is again a long time ago, but his name is Martin Sargent. He's a comedian and he used to have a show on Tech TV. And I talked to him because at the time, all this stuff skewed towards technology to do it. And we did an interview with him, and he had his own show on Tech TV at the time. And he was a fun guy to talk to. Nobody knows who he is now. I don't think he's even in the business anymore as far as that goes. But he took the time. And then we had I had emails with Will Wheaton, which everybody knows who Will Wheaton is. So Will Wheaton back in the day had a blog, and I used to read Will Wheaton's blog, and I said, hey, let's talk to Will Wheaton. I'll try to get that set up. And so I emailed him, and we went back and forth a bit, and he was going to do the show because he was interested. He's kind of a techie kind of guy, and at the time that was something of interest. And so he was going to do the show, and then Miles emailed him a very inappropriate question ahead of time, and that was the end. He cut out.
Oh, okay, what was it?
So we're kind of body or whatever. He said he emailed Will Wheaton. So who had the biggest in Stand By Me? They were all in like the swampy area, and they got the leeches on them. I don't know if you remember this movie, but and Will Wheaton was a kid at the time, and they all were kids. River Phoenix was in it.
Right.
who else was in that? Corey Feldman was in it. Anyway, who had the biggest dick in the swamp?
What?
He asked him that in an email, and I'm like, why? And then, of course, that was
God, why would you do that?
I don't know. Well, he probably would have asked him if it was when we talked to him, to be honest.
Well, I mean, you can probably get away with that because at least you got some content out of it, but that's kind of like blowing your load. Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I said. So that was the end of that. But
yeah,
I did. And I'm like, why would you? So at this point, I don't let him talk to anybody. But anyway, I mean, he can if he wants to initiate it. But if I do, I'm like, no.
Right. He's not the PR guy in the situation.
Yeah. So
got
it. That was a long time ago now. And he didn't put it as bluntly as I just did. I can't remember. It was very more finessed in his statement. But the point was that question. And
wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So then Wheaton didn't want to talk to us. And I'm like, I don't blame him. I'm like,
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, it's kind of not really the way you really want to start a conversation. It's like, hey, how big is everyone's dick?
Yeah, what a weirdo. So but over time, really, we haven't sought out guests too much. We've had people come to us, and people like there's a guy named John Hargrave who I've talked to, and he's not a famous person necessarily, but he is a kind of a Bitcoin guy. He got into Bitcoin, made a lot of money.
Okay.
He does a thing. I think he does a show with Bitcoin still, but anyway, he was an author at the time. He'd written some books and things, and we talked to him, and he's a good guy. He's kind of funny and did funny things at that time, and then he's since kind of moved over into the Bitcoin aspect of things because he made a bunch of money.
Well, yeah, and funny enough, we actually we didn't. What was this? I think it was one of the last episodes. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I should probably keep better track. But we had a bit of a thought of, okay, if you could go back in time and make a change or do something or, something of that nature. My option was to go back in time and literally just work as much as I can and have as much money as accrued as I could right before Bitcoin blew up and invest in Bitcoin. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that. It's like, and then the wife was like, "Oh, why would you do that? Wouldn't you?" I'm like, "No, I don't care about it. That makes more sense. Invest when it's super low. Now it's, I don't know. I think the last time I looked at it was like 67,000 a share or something like that. Something stupid. Yeah. And we did the math, and if I invested 1,000 into that, it would end up being like 670,000 or something. I don't know. It was something or a million. I don't know. It was ridiculous, but I just looked at it. It's like,
I kicked myself because I was around at that time thinking. I mean, was dabbling myself, but not committing.
Right. Well, why would you? I mean, it's a scary thing. I mean, it's not like you got all. I don't know your financial situation, but I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of say, oh, I have this shit ton of expendable income. Let me dump it into something that may or may not do something.
Right. It's just going to go away.
Let's see. Yeah. It's kind of, it's a risky thing, but those people that pulled the trigger on that, they're happy folks, but I think there's a lot more that did, and they fell on their face. So it's kind of one of those like, I mean, whatever.
You have to have either, money to burn or a pretty good stomach for that kind of thing. So yeah, exactly. But over the years, I mean, so we've kind of mostly talked to each other, especially through the first part of podcasting. We kind of stuck together, didn't do too much guesting or anything. I mean, very, very sporadically. And we still do. I mean, to be honest with you, we don't really take on guests too much.
Right.
Just because that's kind of not the formula, if you will. I mean, that's, I'm doing, so over this last year or so, I decided, hey, I'll be a guest. And that's how you and I connected, because all these things popped up like Podmatch and whatnot. And I just put myself on there and said, yeah, I'll be a guest. I got a story or two. So what the hey? And so, I've been doing that. Miles doesn't do that so much. He's not as interested in that aspect of it. I've always been interested in this kind of aspect of audio. So I've always done things even prior to computerized audio. I was a kid with a cassette recorder kind of a situation. So,
I mean, think about it. I mean, the logic behind it is kind of, it's kind of beautiful. You know, you're able to, well, you know, I'll put it this way. This is like an audio version of a chat room.
Yeah.
You know, like you get to talk to some random ass person that you've never met, that fate has brought you together, and you got some stories, I got some stories. Let's kind of make that into something that people may or may not listen to.
Right,
flip a coin.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah,
and it's beautifully simplistic.
Yeah. The experience is fun. And so, yeah, I mean, that's, what I would say, the aspect of the guest thing is the experience is fun. And I mean, sure, to be honest with you, when we talked about the show and so forth, I don't really care if we talk about the show. That's not my goal. My goal is more to kind of have the experience. So, here I've met Rich through this thing where he obviously has at least a little bit of a drive to be here and wants to do something, right?
I'm balls deep, dude. It's weird. It's not even a little. It's gross. Like I am rabid about this, even to the point where me and Jermaine, I've come at his neck a little bit, and not even intentional, just because I'm so kind of, I wouldn't say it's kind of tunnel vision, but I'm so focused and so driven in it, and for whatever reason, this thing is insanely important to me.
Yeah. And that's good. I mean, that's where you want to be at, and kind of things when you're going out there for the experience, because that's you don't want to have maybe we'll do this, maybe we won't. You want people who are kind of committed. You want people who want to do the show and to put it out there and see what happens. That's the whole point of it, is just to see what happens and to have the experience in the moment. It's a nice conversation. People, I always find it funny, and I'll tell you that, after doing this for a while, two things have happened for me personally. So, number one, I'm much more comfortable speaking to people than I ever was. And I'm a very, very shy person, which I know, given the background that I just went through, doesn't sound
you're talking to your friend, man. That's a different comfortability. Exactly. I get it. It makes sense.
So in public, I'm very, very reserved, and I always have been, and so forth. And but now I find it easier. So it's overcome a little bit of a personal obstacle in speaking.
Not for nothing, man. Personal growth is beautiful. That's awesome.
And then the second one is public speaking. So so if you can imagine, if you're a shy person and you can't talk to the person next to you in line or wherever you're at, imagine if you have to talk to hundreds of people in an audience.
Right.
It's traumatic, right, for most people, and so that's changed as well. So I have no problem getting up and talking to a group of people, which is, to me, has been a fantastic benefit. Something that I never even dreamed would be a benefit. It has become a benefit. And if you would go back in time and talk to me, I would never. That's not something I would want to do.
Right.
And they took polls and everything, and they're like, people would rather die than get up in front of a group of people, whether they know them or not, and have to deliver anything. It doesn't even have to be like a performance. It could just
be so interesting how people work that way. I think I look at
headlights
myself.
Are on, so yeah.
I mean, I look at myself, I'm a ball of charisma. It's just kind of what I do. I don't understand why. Because generally speaking, I'm not really like I'm good with people, but I could, if you die, you die, kind of Rocky IV kind of thing here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's strange because I won't I won't go and put myself out there and just talk to you unless I have something to say. I'm not like a small talk guy.
Right.
But when we're going, oh man, like we will get into 90 different subjects and it's like, oh, this guy looked like he was going to eat my kids, but now I may make him the godfather. It's like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's weird, but it's just, practice makes perfect or whatever you want to say. But it's just because of doing this on a regular basis, it gives you a skill, and it hasn't made me rich or anything, but it certainly makes you more able to take on opportunities that maybe you would have shied away from in the past. So,
look,
I watched a documentary on Warren Buffett. He's the world's richest guy, or at least he has been multiple times over the last 10, 20 years. And he said the best thing that he ever did was go to Toastmasters whenever he was like in his 20s. Toastmasters is kind of an old school organization where it teaches people how to do public speaking.
Oh, okay.
And this is pre everything. And so he's like the best time he spent was going to Toastmasters for like, I don't know, it wasn't even that long. Like they do classes, and so you go for a few months or whatever, and they kind of give you skills to, talk about, to be able to get up in front of an audience and so forth. And so, yeah, he's like, you think the world's richest guy, and you ask him a question about what's the most valuable thing you've done. And he even has the certificate that he got.
That's wild.
In his office on the wall, like it's a diploma. When it's just this little certificate from Toastmasters, which, I mean, anybody could get, but at the time, but yeah, that was it, and
it's like the accrued equity of it though. Like that's the thing. Like it's one, I hate to keep bringing this stuff up, but we had another episode about kind of, it was something along the lines of, would you rather be given, oh yeah, it was actually, I think it was in the same episode about all the money, and what you would do with it. And, Jermaine had the point of, I would rather give someone these skills or something like that to make yourself money rather than just give you a lump sum.
Oh,
and,
sure. Yeah.
What he did is like, yeah, you already had a shit ton of money, but he looked at this and he's like, yeah, you know what, this could be a skill that don't know how exactly I'm going to need it or use it, but I would rather have it and, not ever use it than not have it and need it. And that,
exactly. Yeah.
There are just stupid little things that I've learned along the last, 2.5 months. Realize that I really, really hate my job. And, I mean, I already knew that. It was already kind of, when you work at home, you would think it's a lot easier. No, you still have to actually look at that thing and just, hate it. But this podcast kind of by proxy has made me more driven to do this, to, somehow, some way parlay what we're doing into some kind of career. And look, I think it's a little silly to not go into anything that you're passionate about and not have some kind of, whether it be delusions or, actually like a good, well set up plan. But if you don't have something to strive for, what are you doing, man? Like, especially if you care about it, what are you doing?
You got to push for something. So, yeah. And, as long as you can, have some enjoyment out of it while you're doing it, that's important. But you always want to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next level or what have you. But yeah, I think so. It's interesting, but there's so many more things you can get out of it as well. And so, take those along the way also.
Oh yeah.
You're not hearing the bing. My email's going off, are you? I hope
No.
Okay,
Did you hear
good,
the
good.
random ass phone call that I had that kind of happened? I don't know if you heard that little ring there,
No,
but yeah, it was some
I just want to
scammer.
make
So I kind of
sure.
wish I could have took that on the phone. No, that would have been great. That would have been good. That would have been good radio right there. Oh, there's too many ings and ers I would have said though. I probably would have went well. So I know you said you didn't really want to touch on this, but sorry,
I
not
don't
sorry.
care if we don't. You can go ahead and ask. I don't care.
You know, how big is no, I'm sorry. So so
You ever see Boogie Nights?
oh Jesus.
Nowhere near. Anyway,
there you go. Double that. Got it. I know what we're gonna have for the thumbnail of the episode now. oh yeah, actually, real quick before I get into that. Yeah, we we have evolved over the months that we have done this. We have two different shows, the X's and O's and then BDE Street, and then that other one is the uncensored one that's kind of a lot of ings and ers that happen and yada yada yada. And when we first started off, we didn't really have much of a plan. That was just very much just an uncensored version of something else that we're talking about that week. But what we did, it was the exact kind of carbon copy of the other episode, just with cussing in it. And people stopped listening to it, mostly my wife. And it's like, oh, tell me why. And then a few other people hopped in saying, hey, this thing sucks. There's no real direction. It's like, oh, that makes me sad. And, you know, we had to really evaluate it. And what we ended up doing was, and we've kind of used the analogy of the X's and O's as a bit of a shotgun, and the other one, the BD Street, that is a sniper rifle. So we just focus on one topic on that one, and we just attack that. And the viewership has gone up, but it's kind of cool to be able to evolve as you're doing it, because we have told people from the get-go, dude, we are green. We don't know what we're doing. We're just having fun and learning as we go. And it's kind of cool to actually see that evolution. But what I wanted to ask you though, you know, because I'm obviously going to share all your info here, especially your social security number. Sure. Don't worry about it. It is fine.
It's all good.
But yeah, I'm going to share your info here so people can actually listen. But, you know, just give a little, you know, impromptu clip of, you know, what your show looks like.
Oh, so
like just kind of tell a random story or just kind of just something that would, you know.
Well, this week, this last show that we just recorded Monday, my story was that at dinner. So I'm a very slow eater, and
okay, I eat like I'm in prison.
Yeah, so you've had to eat faster for whatever reason. I've never had to, and so I eat very slow. And we were at the dinner table, and everybody gets done eating, and I'm like not even hardly started on my hamburger. We had a hamburger, so and my wife goes, "Hey, what do you think this is?" So she's done eating. She's, you know, just hanging out for a minute. We're chitting and chatting, and she picks up her phone and she shows me this picture of poop in the yard. And I'm like, what is going on with you with showing me? I'm trying to eat a hamburger here, and there's a big turd on this phone. And she's like, no, what animal do you think this is? Because we live out in the country, and we've got some woods, and there's all these animals out there. And she's like, it's almost as big as a dog turd, but there's no dogs around here. And I'm like, I don't know. And so it was a people. Here. Yeah, it wasn't a person. Yeah, we're not in the street of San Francisco or something.
Oh no,
it was just a while back. But so I'm like, I don't know. It could be raccoon. She's like, no, it's too big for raccoons. So we have this whole conversation about what the shit is in the yard.
Why does your wife know so much about animal poop though? Let's kind of let's not glance over that idea.
We're surrounded by trees and grass and whatnot, and so we have rabbits and squirrels and everything running around here, and And so, we see it from time to time, but this is something larger than normal. And so she's like, is it a coyote? What is this? Is it a dog? Or we got, neighbors' dogs are over here now or something. And so anyway, this goes on and on too long while I'm trying to have my meal. And then all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, it's fox poop." I'm like, "Well, how do you know it's fox poop?" And she Googled fox poop. And then she showed me then the picture from Google about the of what it looked like. And she's like, "I'm pretty sure that's fox poop." I'm like, "Well, I haven't seen any foxes, but she just ruined my my dinner the other night." But this is the kind of weird, kind of funny. I go into it a little bit more with Miles if you listen to the show, but the weird, funny stuff that happens. I mean, who are these normal conversations? I have no idea. But for me, I'm not sensitive stomach necessarily, but I certainly don't want to look at shit.
Right, you don't want
a hamburger.
Exactly. So, it's like, know your audience there, kiddo. What are you doing?
So yeah, it just was, kind of goofy and so forth. But that's just, a little bit of a story, and they ran the gamut from everything. So that every week it's not going to be some identify the animal turd.
Listen, maybe somehow or another, shit comes up in our podcast almost weekly, and it's because of Jermaine. He has some kind of weird fetish. I don't know what's happening, but it somehow is like a full circle thing. He will jump it in there somehow. It's like, dude, what's wrong with you? What happened in your childhood that you need it to? I don't know. Just
got a foot thing or something?
No, man. Well, I mean, I'd rather be that than the poop. Honestly, let's be honest. I mean.
Oh, well, poop's funny, though. Everybody.
Yeah. No worries. Look, there was one up. Yeah, there.
Everybody's got to do it at some point, If you don't, then you're not around long enough.
Causes a problem.
So, yeah. But that's just, kind of a weird one. But it runs the gamut. I mean, it's just wherever we go, something happens. I'm not. I don't really like to go places and stuff, but I end up having to because you have to in life. And invariably, if I leave the house, something will happen. Is going to be,
noteworthy, I guess.
Yeah. It's just weird or funny or, what have you. And so then that becomes part of the show because I knew also that if I talked about that it would get Miles going because he would latch on to that. He has a
fetish too.
Yeah,
got it.
He likes to talk about. Well, he talks about his own movements all the time. So
that's a weird thing to talk about.
Fox bell movement. I'm sure he's going to latch onto it. So.
I mean, fair enough. And look, that kind of just segues into something I want to kind of mention here. So, one, I wanted you to kind of get kind of your little snippet of what you do out there. So, because like I said, I'm going to send out the links of your show and all that in the descriptions and all that so people can actually check you out. I wanted people to get an idea. Hey, look, no, this is kind of generally what this dude is doing. And not
maybe I shouldn't have chose that story.
First impressions, man, you fucked up.
I can pick stocks for you that'll make you rich.
There you go.
Or you want to know how to wax a car? I'll tell you 3 easy steps.
See, there you go.
I should do more,
more
clickbaity kind of statements. Yeah.
Oh, those kill me.
And she
too.
cut through the woods and saw a fox, and she was murdered.
Oh, that's called a cliffhanger.
There you go. Yeah.
Like it.
Top 10 reasons not to walk in your yard.
Yes. Or well, here's the point though. When we started this, because I've always been a podcast dude, always listened to them. It is a guilty pleasure, if you want to call it that, whatever. And I'll just do it while I'm just dicking around the house doing whatever, yada yada yada. My goal was to create something that people will still do that, because normally people aren't just sitting there staring at a wall listening to a podcast like a crazy person.
Right.
This is not happening. They're usually multitasking.
Right.
That's kind of their quote unquote background noise, and depending on how interested they are, they'll click on more of it. Well, not click on, but they'll latch on to more of what's going on than not.
Yeah.
My goal was to make this something that people will sit there and multitask with, but have the ratio be 60-40 to our podcast to what you're doing on the other end of it. Like let the action you're doing be the background noise, not the other way around.
Right.
And something like, look, obviously Fox Poop is not going to be, oh my God, let's stare at this thing and avidly listen, all like that. But it is interesting to say, wait, what now? It'll draw your attention in, and it's like a gateway drug a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a silly, fun thing that I dig it, because that is, and here's really the whole point too. I like what you do, and I like what I do, because it doesn't seem like, it's not the status quo of what podcasts are now. It's not PC stuff. It's very like, hey, this is something goofy that happened. What are your feelings about this? Like I God, my last one, I had like a 5-minute diatribe about curb stomping a raccoon. Listen,
what was he doing? Shitting in your yard?
No, man, no. He is eating. Listen, he has. There's a family. I think there's a clan of them.
Yeah.
They have eaten through a garbage can, an $80 garbage can, like one of those big things at Lowe's. And now they are now there's another one that we have, same type of one, but we actually put bike locks on it to keep it closed, because they kept knocking it over and getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've knocked it over so many times they have broken the back of it. So now they're just getting in that way. So now we have to, like, we're doing this whole other, either building this little garbage house, for lack of a better term, thing, or we're just going to put it in the little storm door next to the basement. So
this sounds
long
like
story short, curb stomps are happening here.
You could have an 80s movie, basically. I'm trying to think of an actor who would be good in this 80s movie with them against the raccoon. It's like a mouse hunt kind of a movie with a raccoon that they could do, so.
It's got to be, it's got to be like a Charlie Sheen type of thing, because it seems like goofy enough, but like actiony enough where he could like probably be taken seriously.
There you go. Charlie Sheen versus the raccoon. Everybody's like, right. Charlie, you're taking too many drugs. There's no raccoons here.
Exactly. It's like whoever, he gets a line of coke per raccoon
Hills
that goes
raccoon,
down.
Right? He lives in Beverly Hills. He's got this raccoon that's getting his garbage, making a mess. He doesn't like it. Nobody believes him. This is Beverly Hills, Charlie. There's no raccoons here.
You know what we could do? Eddie Murphy. Like do a crossover of Charlotte, that, and then like and Beverly Hills. Oh man, I think we just made a movie, man.
There you go.
And this is the shit you'll get with these podcasts, just so you guys know.
Beverly Hills raccoon.
But there you go. See,
it's just like Caddyshack, but instead of the gopher, it's the raccoon, I guess. So.
Oh God, yeah. So, we're about 52 minutes here, and I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I will give you a little taste of kind of what I do. And it's a story that we kind of touched on a little bit. I don't know if you're going to share this stuff with your audience or not. If you do, I appreciate it. If not, go fuck yourself. It's fine. So a few episodes back, and it was such in the middle of the episode thing. And I remember one day I came down and I was working and the wife was cleaning the house as a good wife should. No, I'm just playing. Or maybe I'm not. I don't know.
Be careful.
It's fine.
You need to cuss more so she won't listen.
Yeah, there you go. Cancel me. I'm not making any money anyway. What do I got to lose here? And I don't know if she caught this part of it, but there was a shower brownie incident, and to just give you a little background on that, it's exactly what it sounded like. I ate a shower ate a brownie in the shower.
Ate a shower in the brownie?
Ate a shower in the brownie.
Is this some kind of euphemism that I'm not familiar with?
It is not, and I wish it was. Well, no, I don't, because I feel like there's no good way that could go. That circles around to the poop thing there, which that's Jermaine's forte. But I walked to the store, and it was just wicked hot that day. I don't really understand why. It was just hot. Went to the store, grabbed a brownie and a drink, came back. And I was like, God, man, it's hot. This is gross. Let me go jump in the shower. And for whatever reason, I carried the bag with said drink and brownie into the bathroom. Now the
Now wait a
bathroom
minute.
is
You drank the drink as well?
no. That
Oh,
I did
okay.
not do the drink.
Okay.
I keep it classy. Come on. Am I some
I'm
heathen?
just asking. I'm checking.
Yeah. No, I have my standards. It's fine. Now how the house is set up, the bathroom is literally 2 minutes away, or 2 minutes. Yeah. A mansion over here, about 2 steps away from, my room / office thing. So don't really know why, but I took the bag into the bathroom with me. And, just whatever, you're getting ready to get in the shower, you turn the water on, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know what struck me, because I wasn't even like starving or anything like that. It was just like, brownie, yum. Just looked at it. We had like this weird, like 80s movie kind of like weird, silly, like flirtatious eyes. Like I think the thing was like blinking. It was like cartoon blinky. It was great. And like, all right, let's do this. Okay. So I took the brownie in the shower with me. And
This is turning into Penthouse Forum.
yeah. Yeah. I took its wrapping off. Yeah.
We're not going to get any kind of American Pie ending on this,
So,
are we?
No. It's well, maybe. I don't know. It may affect me. I don't know. But and no, I wasn't in the water. It was in that 5-minute period that I just lay my head on the side of the shower, debating if I want to cry about my life, and just letting the water hit me, and just reevaluating all the choices I've made, especially marrying my wife. Just, all those normal things you do. And I legitimately ate a brownie in the shower. And I'm not ashamed to say, I'm not mad about it. I'm not gonna purposely do it again, but I mean, I'm not gonna not say no if it crops up. It's like, I mean, we've done this dance before. Now I realize that sounds gross and incredibly like a super fat kid thing to do. I mean, there's no other way to look at that.
That's a Ben Stiller gag or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does it help that I'm diabetic as well? I feel like that's a little caveat there that makes it even worse. It's like, okay, so the diabetic ate a shower brownie.
Yeah. It was I was feeling low blood sugar.
And that's where you can go, that you can swing that to where you don't feel like a weird guy.
Yeah. Oh, if anybody gives you the crook eye, well, I am diabetic, and I have
there you go. So you ate a brownie.
Now you feel bad. Don't you, assholes?
See, there you go. I'm slowly dying. Now who's the dick? There you go.
So can I ask, was it a brand name brownie? Was it
no? It was probably
brownie,
one of the frozen things that they just unwrap and let sit in the little.
It was under the dome. It was like you pick up the little lid. Oh my god!
Yeah. So it wasn't even a quality brownie.
There's something about individually wrapped products that make me feel that they're safer, even though they're probably full of machinery parts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the dome brownie. I mean,
I'd rather eat like little aluminum pieces in that wrapped one than the finger aids that people have.
Well, it all
absolutely
passes,
get it.
So I mean, if you're going to travel, maybe it's not good for the scanners, but
right.
If you're not traveling, then whatever. No, I'm surprised. So you ate that gives a whole nother level of the story. You need to make sure that you tell people that I got it from the counter little counter case. It's totally every mechanic in the city has fingered that brownie before you got there. Whenever they went and got their hot dog for lunch.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, do I want a brownie? No, but I put two fingers on it.
Maybe that was my way to wash the brownie, to cleanse it with the aroma of the hot shout. Yeah, there we go.
So there's a body wash person or a soap person? That's the other question.
I'm a body wash guy. I'm actually real fancy. I go
with the brownie. Yeah, the soap would not work with the brownie.
Yeah, no, I'm that weird super fancy guy that goes to Lush and spends like $40 on
wow.
Yeah,
you probably smell great.
I mean, like brownie, yeah, it's fine.
Well, besides that, yeah,
Like nicely showered brownie, yeah.
lavender and honey and a hint of brownie. How interesting!
Oh, you
Maybe
smell
that
delicious, sir.
That could be a new fragrance for.
Look, don't put that in the ether because some bitch will take
brownie.
that and eventually they'll make a bunch of money and we're like, no, it's our idea.
Gas station brownie fragrance there. If you really want to attract the fat chicks, come with our gas station brownie fat.
See, there you go. Me naked, shower brownie. It's a party. Let's go.
Yeah, I could see this being a commercial for something. I don't know what, but
I don't know.
Feel better about yourself. You're going to be in like one of those Hims commercials with this shower brownie.
Listen, not a sponsor, but if you're feeling frisky, go ahead and jump in.
You'll be like, because they cover depression and erectile dysfunction.
Oh no!
You think they have something in common? Maybe.
I mean, there is some science
dysfunction, but hey,
they said sex is very similar to eating a bunch of chocolate. No, that's love. That's the same thing.
Oh, no, yeah, sex is just about eating a bunch of anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just
that's almost a euphemism right there.
Yeah, I think so. The shower brownie just fascinates me, and what would motivate you to think this is what I need to do at this moment? That's what you always got to wonder. You always see these things, on television, and you watch the news or whatever, and you're like, some guy who drove through a shopping grocery store or something, and you're like, what possessed that person?
What made this happen?
To think, right now, I'm going to do this. And whenever you said shower brownie, I'm like, what in the world is going through your mind to say,
not much, man.
Now
obviously.
Is the best time to consume this brownie. I mean, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm taking a cold shower with my body wash, and
God, you're painting a real weird picture. And I'm like seeing this happen. It's like, oh man, this does feel like a porno now, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it could be. I mean, there's people that do food porn or something, I'm sure, out there.
Oh God, there's such a great story I have. Not a personal story, but it is something funny that me and the wife always bring up because we always find it super amusing. Oh, I don't even know I may tell you that one off air. I don't know. That may be a little too crude that may rub people the wrong way.
Personal.
No, it's not even personal at all. I think it's just a little too I wouldn't say risque, but there's really no way to put it where it doesn't sound like that's like beyond vulgar and weird. Let's just not. Yeah, we'll talk off air. I
didn't want to hear it. I don't know. I don't want to look at fox turds at dinner, so maybe.
Well, now you can have something else to think about except me. I mean, look, it's either you get that visual or you think a shower brownie.
Yeah, I'll take the you eating the brownie in the shower. I think. Who knows? Who knows? But so. I mean, it was just so tempting. It seemed so delicious. I mean, that's the beautiful part about it. There wasn't much that happened with the thought process. It just kind of happened. Oh, okay. So it was an impulse.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, all joking aside, like you just I was walking by and it just, the light glimmered on the wrapper. It was like, ting. It's like, oh, well. Hey, bitch, take me to the shower. Right. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, nothing. What are you doing?
It's
nothing.
It's stuffy inside this lid.
Right. And it's just such a dumb thing because I wish I had more of a the logic and the.
You didn't take two, so you could have a three-way.
Oh, seen that? Well, hold on now. I mean, that store is just up the road here. Don't tempt me here.
I'm bored this afternoon.
Right, I got a doctor's appointment at 1:30. I can probably definitely kind of just swing by see now I got my afternoon planned.
Yeah, now you. Well, I'm glad I could help out.
Get some chocolate syrup for lube. I mean, what?
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
See, you went down to.
Don't use the hot fudge. It doesn't work. But
okay, well, good because I didn't know. I was going to ask you off air, which you seem to have experience with.
Oh my goodness gracious! It's evolved here.
Yeah.
There goes you got to check the explicit tag now.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that happens. But I did know I didn't want to mention this here too before because like I said, I don't want to hold you up here. Instead of adding this to the regular feed, this is still going to be under that feed, except it's going to be like, this is going to be X's and O's episode 10.5, because I do want to kind of keep the integrity of that counting of the regular shows and all that.
Sure.
Because I don't know, because the fellow that runs this here, it says you need to use the podcast that we reached out for. And I'm like, oh, okay, because I have two. I'm about to have 3, maybe 4 separate podcasts here, and I'll be recording like 6 days a week. So I don't want to have a whole nother separate one for like the interviews that we'll do periodically and what have you.
Sure.
But
whatever you want to, however you want to handle it.
Yeah. But look, this has been a ball, man. And whenever you want to come back and yap or do whatever you want, it's appreciated, because you're definitely have been a fun you're a fun character. And I just really, I don't know, it's kind of like a kindred spirit kind of thing, because I really dig what you do on, how you broke down your podcast there. And because it's so silly and similar to our thought on what we wanted to do. It's just, it's not that we thought what we were doing is crazy original, but I felt like what people like us do is a bit in the minority.
Yeah. And I think right now, if you talk about podcasts, everybody is like minutia, right? So they hone in on one little thing and kind of beat
and
it
the popular thing that's been beaten to death. And it's like
AI. Right now, you'll see all these AI podcasts, but so that's kind of the norm, I think.
Yeah.
But it is really interesting that as actually a person I know called it The Art of Conversation, which I think is a book, but The Art of Conversation is actually lost a lot of times.
Yeah, people can't be people anymore. People suck at being people.
Yeah, so this is
I say that all the time.
Conversation. Yeah. No, I had an acquaintance, I guess, colleague, whatever you want to say. He's got 10 kids, which is hilarious in and of itself.
Jesus.
And they're all his. It's not like he just picked them up.
Right. He's not like Brad. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
He told me, he's like, well, I don't know. We were having dinner, I think. And he's like, yeah, I get the kids around in the evening on a Wednesday or whatever. And he goes, and we have what I like to call the art of conversation. And we talk.
Okay.
And so he talks to his kids. And it's really funny. But he's a character in and of himself. But we were talking about how people don't converse as much anymore, and how he was trying to impart on his children, because of the proliferation of technology, that you still need to converse. And
right.
Here, as a parent, I'm going to, show you, I'm going to talk with you. And so we'll have conversations, and it is interesting, and it is, an experience, and there is an art to it. And anyway, he cracked me up when he said that, but I always sit there because I know he has 10 kids and I know his wife and everything. And I'm like, holy shit, stop, people, come on.
Yeah, really.
I mean, you either, and I don't think he's a super religious guy either. So it's not like a religious thing. And I'm like, I always want to ask, and it's not polite in regular society, but I'm like, can you just leave her alone, for Christ's sake? I mean,
like, there's 2 other places where you can try that at. I'm just,
That's right. Well, I'm not bored with the first yet, so I'll wait.
I guess it ain't broke, don't fix it. But after 10, you'd think that some bitch is broke. But that's more. I'm just
thinking the expense myself. I'm a cheap bastard. I'm like, holy shit, how am I going to take care of?
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah, I mean
he does all right. He paid for dinner, so hey.
Well, I mean, there you go, and that's. You're bound to have one of those kids break out and do something great, right? Like, I think that's just kind of the law of averages.
Exactly.
You have as many, just and hopefully one of them become an
there.
athlete or a musician or something, so they can pay for you whenever you're in debt.
I think he's going to be all right. He's doing quite well.
Good. All right, man. Well, look, this has been a ball, man. I appreciate you taking the time out.
No problem.
Like I said, I'm going to put all the info for your stuff after you send it to me in the description, and I'll, if you want my stuff, I'll send you that stuff.
Yeah, no. When you post, send me everything, and I'll put it out there as well, and we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully it goes over well with folks and they like it. So
yeah, and and one thing just to leave this here. I mean, we've always kind of figured, hey, look, this is for fun, right? If we can be financially okay doing it from it, that would be an added perk. But
yeah,
it really is all for fun. So I mean, I appreciate anyone that takes out the time to, actually pay attention to us and listen to us. Yeah. Now I will say this as well. I do have another interview at 12:30.
Yeah. Good deal.
Yeah. So literally people are getting like 3 podcast drops today. So
fantastic.
Yeah, so this has essentially been my job today, which is fine.
Deal. Yeah. And that's what you got to do.
But yeah, man, look, once again, I appreciate you coming on, and look, you have a good rest of the day, and I'll tell you that story off air.
Okay.
All right.